Shall we start, sir, now?
Yes.
Yes, Aman.
Okay. A very fantabulous evening, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me an immense pleasure to welcome you all. Today, I, Aman Shrivastava, editorial head of Jodhpur branch of ICAI, on behalf of Jodhpur branch of CIRC, would like to welcome you all in the day 2 of GST drill webinar. In day first, ladies and gentlemen, CA Mr. Akash Popalia sir has taken us through the journey of GST, its important terms and definitions. And the journey of GST will going to continue today as well. So on this magnificent Monday evening, we have with us chairman from Bikaner, from Satara and WICASA Satara branch, CICASA Sikar branch and CICASA Bikaner branch. I would like to take this opportunity to call CA Mr. Jaswant Singh Baid sir, chairman CICASA Bikaner branch, for his words of wisdom. Over to you, sir.
Good evening, all of you. Respected Manisha Biyani Madam, Regional Council Member, Arpit Haldia sir, आज के गेस्ट स्पीकर हमारे चेयरमैन जोधपुर ब्रांच धवल कोठारी सर, सिकासा चेयरमैन जोधपुर ब्रांच हेमंत जी लोहिया सर, और सभी कमिटी मेंबर्स अदर ब्रांचेस के और हमारे प्यारे स्टूडेंट्स, आप सबका बीकानेर ब्रांच और संपूर्ण CIRC की तरफ से मैं आपका इस कॉन्फ्रेंस में बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं। ये जो इनिशिएटिव जोधपुर ब्रांच ने लिया है इस कॉन्फ्रेंस को कराने का, ये एक बहुत ही अच्छा स्टेप है, जिससे जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं उनका तो साथ में मेंबर्स का भी जो नॉलेज गेन है वो डेफिनेटली होगा। आशा करता हूं कि ऐसे प्रोग्राम आगे निकट भविष्य में भी बहुत होते रहेंगे और बीकानेर ब्रांच या दूसरी ब्रांचेस भी है जो है वो ऐसे प्रोग्राम करने का इनिशिएटिव लेती रहेगी। जिस तरीके से इसमें गैदरिंग के CIRC के अलावा दूसरे रीजन से भी ब्रांचेज इसमें इन्वॉल्व हुई है, तो ये बहुत ही एक बढ़िया है कि नेशनल लेवल पे हम इसको लेके जा रहे हैं या नेशनल लेवल से लोग पार्टिसिपेट कर रहे हैं। इससे डेफिनेटली हम सबको बहुत बेनिफिट होगा। अच्छे स्पीकर हमारे पास है ही, लेकिन उसके साथ अच्छे लिसनर होना भी बहुत जरूरी है, जो एक बहुत बढ़िया बात है। जोधपुर ब्रांच ने मुझे आज ये मौका दिया कि मैं आपके समक्ष अपने 2 शब्द रख सकूं, उसके लिए बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। आशा करता हूं आप सबका प्रेम और स्नेह आगे भी ऐसे ही मेरे साथ बना रहेगा। ओवर टू यू सर।
Thank you so much, sir, for your words of wisdom. Now, I would like to take this opportunity to call CA Mr. Niraj Sharma, sir, chairman of CICASA Sikar branch, to share some of his thoughts.
Thank you, Aman bhai. I would like to extend my heartiest thanks to dynamic chairman CA Dhaval Kothari ji and my counterpart CA Hemant Lohiya ji. They all have given me opportunity to speak in this platform. So as Aman said that I have to say some words of wisdom, but I think there are 2 more persons that are more wiser than me, the learned RCM CA Manisha Biyani ma'am and our today's speaker Haldia ji. But still I would like to say something from the words of my experience. So students, it has been rightly said that good decisions come from experience and experiences come from bad decisions. So always try to learn something from bad experiences. You all are going to face many challenges from now onwards, from the day you got your degrees in your hands. But still you can manage all these challenges. You manage all these challenges by the knowledge you are getting from your internship program and all these kind of events. So I would like to thank the entire committee of Jodhpur branch and all other 18 to 20 participating branches that are working continuously to make this program a success. And following the words of one of the famous poet, he has already said that Purva chalne ke but wahi baat ki pehchan kar le. So it is the time where all the students have to identify that what they are going to do in their future. So thank you all the students who are here to listen me, and special thanks to Aman and the Jodhpur branch. Hopefully it is going to be a very good program, and we expect these kind of programs in near future also. Thank you, Aman.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Now, I would like to also take this opportunity on this magnificent Monday evening to call our Satara branch chairman, CA Mr. Rushikesh Wangde, sir, to share some of his words. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you, Aman, for kind introduction. First of all, I would like to welcome CA Manisha ma'am, learned RCM from CIRC. It's great pleasure, indeed pleasure to see you in this webinar. We on behalf of Jodhpur branch, we are really grateful for accepting our invitation. I would also like to congratulate Dhaval Kothari ji, our Jodhpur branch chairman, and Hemant ji for organizing such a wonderful, fantastic program. I would like to others, please mute yourself. I would also recognize the presence of the CICASA chairperson of Jaswant sir and Niraj sir for being present here. I would like to request all the participants who are watching over Zoom and those who will be watching on YouTube, and also request all the students जो भी आप इस सेशन में अटेंड कर रहे हो, प्लीज अपने सारे दोस्तों को इन्फॉर्म कर देना कि these branches are taking very great sensitive efforts for organizing such an comprehensive systematic webinars. जो आपको कहीं और नहीं मिल सकते, ये इंफॉर्मेशन आपको बहुत हेल्पफुल होने वाली है आपके प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में भी, as well as for your academic purpose also. If such seminars are there like GST or income tax, so don't miss such opportunities, and also do share these programs with all of your friends ताकि ये सारा इंफॉर्मेशन लोगों तक पहुंचा जाए, and it will add value to you as well as your friends, and lastly to our profession also. With this kind words, with this I request Aman to take on this session, please.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts. Moving forward today, we have with us a special guest of honor, CA Mrs. Manisha Biyani ma'am, Regional Council Member of Central Region. And I would now like to invite Secretary of Jodhpur Branch, Mr. Mohit Khavia, to please welcome Manisha ma'am. Over to you, Mohit.
Good evening, everyone. I, Mohit Khabia, Secretary of the CICASA Committee of ICI Jodhpur, is immensely proud introducing our today's guest of honor, CA Manisha Biyani ma'am. Currently, she is the Regional Council member and is the first ever elected representative for the Regional Council from Jharkhand, and also the chairperson of Women Empowerment Committee of CIRC and CSR Committee of CIRC of ICAI. She is also the first female to serve as a chairperson for Ranchi branch CIRC of ICAI, not just a practicing chartered accountant. Additionally, she is also a practicing insolvency professional, a true inspiration for women empowerment and breaking the typical stereotypes. She has won the Best Female Cricket Player Award in CAPL Ranchi 2018 and won the CAFPL as the team owner and player 2021. She is an eloquent speaker, majorly orating over women empowerment and soft skills. We welcome you, ma'am, and we are grateful to hear your words of wisdom. Thank you.
Sorry for interrupting. Before starting the session, Manisha ma'am, we invite you to a cricket tournament whenever we organize women cricket tournament.
Definitely, Rushikesh, I'll be glad to be a part of it.
And so glad, ma'am, आपकी जैसी personality हमारे council में है. It's really great pleasure, ma'am. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. A very good evening to respected C. Arpit Haldia ji, speaker of today's technical session, who's a knowledge bank on GST. All the other CICASA chairman of Bikaner branch, CA Jaswant Baid ji, CA Niraj Sharma, CICASA chairman of Sikar branch, CA Rushikesh, Wangde ji chairman, Satara branch. I heard that it was your thought process only to bring all the branches together from all over the country. So it's a big thing that first time I've ever seen that this kind of a program happening where all the CIRC, WIRC, EIRC, NIRC, everybody is participating together. So I would like to congratulate Jodhpur team to host such a wonderful knowledge-packed webinar spread over 4 days, connecting all the regional branches. I would also like to say my good evening wishes to all the committee members of branches of Jodhpur, Agra, Guwahati, Bhilwara, Pali, Sikar, Bikaner, Kishangarh, Mathura, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Gurugram, Satara, Surat, Pune, Navi Mumbai, and Nanded. Also, a very good evening to the energetic and promising students who are a part of today's webinar. GST drill to make GST easy is required, as when GST was came in July 2017. Since then, there has been a lot of changes and notifications have come in which have made it complex rather than easier. Also, I feel that GST is a routine task. See, every day we are dealing with GST. Unlike income tax or ROC returns, which are usually done once a year or twice, the GST dates of filing various returns are done every month, and with e-invoicing, it has become a daily task. There are a lot of practical difficulties which you all students must be facing in regard to filing of GSTR 1 and 3B. The most complicated one, I feel, is the claiming of ITC and the reversal of ITC. As some business houses file the returns on a monthly basis, and they might be having some business partners who file the same on quarterly basis. So the ITC gets blocked. All these glitches and problems we all are facing today will be sorted by Arpit ji. I'm really thankful to the entire team of Jodhpur branch headed by CA Dhaval Kothari ji as the chairman for inviting me as a guest of honor in this excellent program carried out flawlessly and making me feel honored. Special thanks to Chairman CICASA, CA Hemant Lohiya ji of Jodhpur branch for making me a part of this. Before concluding, I would like to say a few lines to all our sparkling students. See, anything cannot be gained with ease. You cannot reach a goal without making enough efforts for it. Passion, dedication, and following the path of ethics, professional ethics, I mean, can only lead you towards your dream, towards the dream of becoming a successful, happy chartered accountant. So some motivational lines again. सफर की हद है वहां तक कि कुछ निशान रहे, चले चलो कि जहां तक ये आसमान रहे, ये क्या उठाए कदम और आ गई मंजिल, मजा तो तब है पैरों में जब कुछ थकान रहे, पैरों में जब कुछ थकान रहे. Thank you.
Aman?
Thank
Aman,
you
I
so
would
much.
like to
Yeah.
Aman, I would like to interrupt you. One more thing which I would like to add with respect to Manisha ma'am. Actually, in the CIRC meeting, she told me that she is from Churu. Churu, that is in Rajasthan, जो कि आपके जोधपुर संभाग में ही आता है. तो ये हमारे अपने ही हैं. Guest नहीं है.
Yes, I belong to Churu only.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I am also from Churu.
Okay.
So that's why I recall the memory that you told me that you are from Churu. तो आप हमारे अपने जोधपुर में ही आते हैं आप भी.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल. That's why this connect is there with all of you.
जी ma'am. Yes, Aman.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your words of wisdom and your sharing your experiences and those beautiful lines of motivation which you have shared with all of us. Now, as the day 2 unfolds, we have with us today's speaker, CA Dr. Mr. Arpit Haldia, sir, a renowned name in GST segment. Sir has written several books of GST and is also an author of Taxman Publications GST Mini, Ready Reckoner, GST Made Easy, and many more. Along with CA, Sir has also achieved success in the fields of FCA, CS, CWA, LLB, DISA, and DIRM. Arpit Sir is currently the co-founder of GSTOnline.com. Talking about his CA journey, ladies and gentlemen, Sir has completed his graduation from Jodhpur in 2000 and CA in January 2002. It is also a moment of great pride for me that Sir was also an alumni of the same school from where I had completed my higher studies, that is St. Anne Senior Secondary School. We welcome you, Sir, and students today are really excited to hear you and to learn from you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Aman. And at the outset, I would like to congratulate all the branches from all the regions of the country who have joined in such a great series of webinars GST drill, which have been organized for the purpose benefits of the student, and our regional council member who is there for today's session. I would like to welcome you, ma'am, also. And it's a great
Thank you.
initiative being taken by all the branches, because students are someone who are the future of the profession. And it is very common that seminars are being held for the members, and members are attending various seminars. But these types of sessions, I am not able to remember that these types of sessions have been held previously. I was once part of one such session wherein Lucknow and Jodhpur branch had together joined in April 2020 for annual returns for students. So there were approximately 500 to 600 students at that time when Lucknow and Jodhpur branch had joined in April 20. And it was first such initiative, and the next initiative I am part is this initiative. Although CICASA branches have been might have been holding such seminars individually, but coming together across the country, all the branches, all the regions, it's a momentous occasion for all. And I hope that this event and this type of sessions goes on in future also. And for the students who have joined this session, my today's session is also on the part of intricacies of filing of GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. But before going on to that this aspect, I have been a huge fan of discussion about the future of the students and how to go about the profession. And somewhere down the line, as a chartered accountant student or as a chartered accountant, we associate ourselves with the compliance part more rather than the legal aspect. And if we are during our journey of the student and being a student of chartered accountancy, if we develop an interest over the law part also, it would be a great benefit going forward, because after GST, the one trend which I have seen, that many of the chartered accountants have started practicing as advocates also. And it's a trend which has been gaining momentum. And you never know when a practicing chartered accountant who has excelled in the field of law has shifted from chartered accountancy to legal profession. I can count numerous names who are luminaries today who have joined a legal profession. And it's a great opportunity with the implementation of GST. Because in GST, there are two aspects. One is the compliance part and second the legal aspect. So if we are able to develop our interest over the legal aspect for the compliance, and the compliance part, we are already having such a knowledge. The accounting part, we are having such a knowledge that we can easily bring and merge that knowledge along with the legal interpretation aspect. And one thing which GST has given to all the new participants is that GST is a new law. If you start practicing in income tax, there would be a senior who might be practicing in income tax for the last 40 to 50 years. But in GST, nobody is practicing for more than 5 years. So if you are able to develop your knowledge aspect, if you are able to develop your understanding aspect, the road to growth, the growth aspect would be in multiples. It would not be in addition that 1 plus 1. It would be in multiples. And whenever a new law is launched and whenever a new law is implemented, it somewhere brings a great opportunity for the new ones. If I can tell about myself also, when I started practicing in 2002, service tax was a new profession. Service tax was a new field for chartered accountants. I started practicing into service tax because people were very less into that regime. Then in 2006, VAT was implemented. I completed my doctorate in VAT, and I was the first person to complete doctorate in VAT. And in 2006, when this value-added tax was launched, it was something wherein everyone wanted to hear about VAT and what would be the intricacies, how would be the VAT implemented. And similar opportunity was available on 1st of July 2017 when GST was launched. So try to develop something which is different from the others. Because whenever you are passing as a chartered accountant, see, whenever an MBA passes from a different institute, there is a differentiation. Somebody has passed from IIM, somebody has passed from Jaipur, somebody might have passed from, say, Calcutta. So there are different institutes who are giving different degrees. And institute of an IIM level is at a much higher pedigree than some institute at Jaipur. So there is a differentiation between two degrees at that time. But whenever a person passes a chartered accountancy and supposedly 500 students have passed together, there's no difference in the degree being awarded to them. They are all chartered accountants. So what would be the X factor which will differentiate from you from others? It is that extra knowledge. It is the extra mile you have traveled. It is extra oil you have burnt in the night while reading, while developing your interpretation. So try to develop an X factor which is different from the other, because when you would be entering into a professional field, all persons with whom you would be contesting would be chartered accountants from the same institute. It would be the X factor which would be differentiating you from the others. And this implementation of GST has given you all a launch pad, which if you work upon, would be greatly beneficial for you in the coming future. So with this discussion, let's come to today's topic, that is intricacies of GSTR 3B and 1. And I believe many of you would have gone onto the portal and seen the GSTR 3B and 1 live on the portal. So what I have tried today, I would be sharing you the various issues and also going a walk through to the entire portal, that what are the different tabs available in GSTR 1, how GSTR 3B is being shown on the portal, how GSTR 2B is being auto-populated, and from how GSTR 2B, the ITC is being auto-populated in 3B. And as Manisha ma'am had said, that claiming of ITC is one of the most complex parts in GST. And this complex part also gives an opportunity to the professionals to excel in the legal field also. So never be afraid of the complexities. Complexities always bring rewards to the profession. So try to face those complexities and try to evolve the new solutions to those complexities. So starting with the portal itself, so this is the GST portal, and this is the live portal, the dashboard which you see. If I want to go to the returns tab, there are the following tabs are available on the portal. One is the registration, the ledger, the cash ledger, trade ledger, the liability register, the returns, the payment part for the creation of challan and generation of challan, the various user services, the refunds, the e-bill system, and the track application status. So going on to the returns tab, if I click on the returns tab and go on to the return dashboard, see, these are the various facilities or the forms available on the portal. One is GSTR 1, that is the statement for outward supplies. Second is GSTR 2A, that is the auto drafted details of the input tax credit. Then is GSTR 2B, that is the statement generated on a particular cutoff date, that is 14th of every month, which is available for the taxpayers to claim the credit. And on the basis of this basic document, the ITC part is visible or transmitted to the GSTR 3B. And GSTR 3B, since this is a quarterly dealer, so the GSTR 3B option is being shown as quarterly. If the dealer would have been a monthly dealer, the option would have been shown as a monthly 3B. So we go through the go to the GSTR 1 tab. These are the various tabs available wherein I can fill the relevant information for the purpose of filing of my outward supply. See GSTR 1, see how does the entire mechanism works. Then we would be going on to the forms and the forms for statement of outward supplies and 3B. The supplier files his GSTR 1. In that, there are, for majority of the dealers, there are two types of supplies. One is the B2B supply, that is business to business supply. That is, a registered person is making a supply to another registered person. And second is the B2C supply. That is a business making a supplies to an unregistered person. This statement of outward supplies reflects the entire liability which is to be discharged by the person making the outward supplies. Now, on the basis of this GSTR 1, his 3B is auto-populated with the amount of liability which he has to discharge. So now the government has gone one step ahead and said that whatever you have filed in your GSTR 1, we would be auto-populating that aggregate liability into your GSTR 3B. If you want to edit it, you can edit it, but the chances of making a mistake have been reduced to minimum. What happened initially in, when GST was implemented and when this auto population was not working? What happened initially that if I have filed my GSTR 1, I have reflected supplies of say 1 lakh rupees. But while filing my GSTR 3B, since the details were not auto populated, mistakenly there were many mistakes which were made wherein 1 lakh was referred as 10 lakh rupees. And excess tax was paid by many of the registered persons. And since it was a new law, there was no mechanism available to claim the refund. And there was a complete hierarchy at the ground level at that time. Now this auto population has started, wherein supposedly Mr. X is the person for whom you are filing the return. So Mr. X would be first be filing his GSTR 1. And on the basis of that GSTR 1, the liability in GSTR 3B would be auto-populated. So this is the first part. But how can I discharge my output liability? It can be discharged in two ways, either by setting off from input tax credit or either by paying to the cash ledger. So how would I ascertain, or the government would ascertain, what is the credit available to me? So in the instant case of Mr. X, which we have discussed, Mr. X is filing his GSTR 1 for declaring his outward liabilities. Similarly, those persons who have declared who have made sales to Mr. X would also file their GSTR 1. And on the basis of their GSTR 1, GSTR 2A of Mr. A would be auto-populated. So if I go back to GSTR 2A, which is being auto-populated on the basis of returns filed by the suppliers of Mr. X, this is GSTR 2A. Now in this instant case, see, these are the 5 suppliers who have made supplies to this particular dealer. And these persons have filed their GSTR 1 with the GST number of this particular dealer, that they have made an outward supply to this particular registered person, and this particular registered person now would be knowing that this is the credit available to him. So this GSTR 2A is auto-populated for a particular period. That is, say, this GSTR 2A is for the period of April to June. So whoever suppliers who have filed their GSTR 1 at any point of time for the month of April, for the quarter of April to June, with the registration details of this particular registered person, that they have made an outward supply to this registered person, this would be auto-populated in GSTR 2A. Now, if I see the filing date of GSTR 1 of these particular supplier, say in the case of Indian Overseas Bank, they have filed their GSTR 1 on 11th of July. In Yes Bank, they have filed their GST on 10th of July. But in case of Balaji Traders, they have filed their GST on 15th of August. So 2A is a dynamic statement. Any registered person, any supplier, whenever he files the GSTR1 for a particular period, 2A for that particular period for the recipient would be getting auto-populated. So let's take an example that Mr. X is having an outward liability of 1 lakh rupees. Now he wants to ascertain that what is his input tax credit, or the government wants to ascertain that what is the input tax credit of Mr. X, say for the month of July 2022, wherein he has made an outward supply of 1 lakh rupees. Now Mr. X has 2 inward supplies. Now what would be happening if GSTR 2A is the base document to identify the amount of ITC available? So this 2A would be getting auto-populated on the basis of GSTR 1 being filed by the suppliers. So if one of the supplier, out of the 2 suppliers, if one of the suppliers file their GSTR 1 reflecting the supplies made to Mr. X, say on 15th of August 2022, that particular entry would be reflecting in GSTR 2A of Mr. X. Now, since the due date of filing of GSTR 3B is say 20th of next month, so by 20th of next month, out of the 2 suppliers, only one have filed their GSTR 1. Now the question arises that what would be the option before Mr. X? Whether he will claim credit of only one invoice, which is reflected in 2A because one of his suppliers have filed the GSTR 1 on 15th of August, or he would wait for second supplier to file his GSTR 1. Supposedly he files on say 25th of September 2022. So whether he would wait till 25th of September 2022, that once he files his GSTR 1 and that particular entry is reflected in his 2A, then only he will file his return. Or how the government would identify that supposedly if a person has filed his 3B, supposing Mr. X has filed his 3B on say 20th of August, what was the credit available to him as on that date? Because 2A is a dynamic document. Once a supplier files on say 15th of August, it would reflect that entry. Secondly, if the second supplier files his GSTR 1 on 25th of September, again 2A would be updated and it would reflect that entry. So it was become very cumbersome for the government to identify that what is the credit available for a particular month, because GSTR 2A was a dynamic document. And there was no clarity about when the registered person has filed his 3B, what is the credit available to him. So what the government did, they brought in GSTR 2B. GSTR 2B is not, is only an extension of 2A. But how 2B is generated on the portal? So how 2B is generated on the portal? See, as we had discussed that 2A is a dynamic document. As and when my supplier files his GSTR1, it would be updated on the same day. So now the government came up with an idea that let the registered person file their GSTR1 as per their convenience or as per the due date provided to them. But they would generate a statement on a particular cutoff date for every month. And once that statement is generated, it would only cover details of GSTR1 filed up to that particular date. And all the rest of the GSTR1 which are filed after that particular date, they would be, the details of such GSTR1 would be appearing in the next GSTR2B. So again, let's take an example which we have taken of Mr. X, that for the month of July 2022, there were 2 suppliers from whom he had received the credit. Now what the government did, that for the purpose of month of July, a GSTR 2B would be generated on 14th of August. This GSTR 2B would be covering or will be auto-populated with the details of all GSTR 1 for all the periods which are filed between 14th of July to 13th of August. So in the case which we had discussed, since the supplier of Mr. X has filed their GSTR1 on 15th of August and 25th of September. So for the month of GSTR2B, there was no credit available to him because none of the 2 suppliers filed their GSTR1 by 13th of August. And the due date of filing of GSTR1 in the case of monthly GSTR1 filers is 11th of next month, and in case of quarterly GSTR1 filers it is 13th. So basis upon these 2 dates, every month a GSTR2B is generated on the 14th of that month. So in the instant case, since both the suppliers had filed their GSTR1 after 13th of August, so no credit was available to Mr. X for the month of July. Now for the month of August, GSTR 2B would be generated on say 14th of September. And for 14th of September, it would be covering details of all GSTR 1 which have been filed between 14th of August to 13th of September. Now in the instant case, since one of the suppliers filed their GSTR 1 on 15th of August, therefore GSTR 2B for the month of August would be carrying details of GSTR 1 filed by one of the suppliers. And Mr. X would be able to claim the credit of that particular invoice in the return for the month of August, which is to be filed by 20th of September. Now for the month of September, GSTR 2B would be generated on the basis of GSTR 1, which have been filed from 14th of September to 13th of October. And the credit which is available for the month of September would be on the basis of 2B, which is generated on 14th of October. So this is how, and since one of the suppliers had filed his GSTR 1 on 25th of September, in the example that we have taken, so the credit which has been passed by the supplier who has filed his GSTR 1 in the month of September, it would be available for the output liability which has to be discharged by filing return for the month of September. So now the credit is available on the basis of the basic document, which is GSTR 2B. And this GSTR 2B is generated on a particular cutoff date. Like see in the instant case, If we can see in the instant case, this 2B has been generated on 14th of July 2022. And it contains details of all GSTR1 which have been filed between the stipulated period. So now the government is saying that we are not giving you credit as per your books of accounts. We would be giving credit only on the basis of the outward supply statement, that is GSTR1, filed by a supplier. And if your supplier does not file this GSTR1, we would not be giving any credit to you. This is a major shift from the pre-GST regime. Although VAT carried the concept specifically that taxes have to be deposited, but in that regime also there was a judgment of Honorable Delhi High Court, Honorable Rajasthan High Court, wherein they had said that if the purchaser is a genuine supplier, you cannot deny credit to him merely because the supplier has not filed or paid his taxes. So the basic theme behind which the entire GST mechanism is working, it is that the supplier would file his GSTR1. On the basis of that GSTR1, a dynamic document in GSTR2A would be generated. But that dynamic document would not be relevant for the purpose of claim of credit. From that dynamic document of GSTR2A, a specific document of GSTR2B, which is static in nature and which is generated on a particular date, that would be generated, which would be providing that this is the amount of credit which you can claim for the return which you are filing. And if someone is claiming credit more than what is being reflected in GSTR2B, then the government is issuing notices to them. So for the first step, we should be clear about the entire mechanism which is working. 1, filed by the supplier, 2A being auto-populated from that 1, and 2B being generated from that 2A up to a particular date by which the suppliers, whichever suppliers have filed their GSTR1. So this was a brief introduction that how the compliance mechanism is working. Now coming to the various forms, the GSTR1 which is there, and what are the various tabs available in the GSTR1? See, there are various tables in GSTR1. Table number 1, 2, 3 is the basic table, and from table 4 to table 13, there are various information which are to be provided. Although these tables are in serial number, but for the purpose of ease of filing of return, these tables and the relevant rows of their tables have been put together in a particular tab by GSTN, so that the person or taxpayer does not have to go through the entire form. He can just click on a particular tab and fill his details and submit his GSTR1. So in this particular case, see, there are table 4, 4A, 4B, 6B, 6C. We will keeping the discussion simple. So table 4 is relating to outward supplies which have been made by this particular person to the registered person. Now, see, if this particular registered person has made his outward supplies to say 5 different registered persons, the details of those 5 different registered persons would be filled in by him, and these would be reflected in such manner that this particular person has made an supply to Balloon Art Export, they have made an supply to GS Overseas, they have made a supply to Sri Ramdev Ji Art, and on the basis of these details, GSTR 2A and 2B of these particular suppliers would be updated. So this is a complete chain which is being followed and have been prepared by the government, that a supplier files his GSTR1. In that GSTR1, he reflects, provides the GST number of the recipient, the name of the recipient, and the details of the invoices which have been issued to these recipients. And once these details are filed, there are two auto populations that are made. One is the GSTR 2A of these recipients, and second, the GSTR 3B of this particular supplier with the amount of tax which he has collected from these persons. So in table 4B, the particulars of B2B supplies would be filed by the registered supplier. In table 7, the particulars of B2C supplies would be filed by the registered person. So take an example that as a registered person, I have made a total outward supply of say 1 lakh rupees. Out of that 1 lakh rupees, 80,000 is a B2B supplies and 20,000 is a B2C supplies. So 80,000 would be mentioned in table 4B and 20,000 would be mentioned in table 7. And by mentioning these details in table 4B and table 7, I would be declaring my total outward liability. That total outward liability, say on 1 lakh rupees, that is 18,000, that would be auto-populated in my GSTR 3B. Along with that, the B2B supplies of 80,000, that is that which I have made to the registered person, that would be auto-populated in the GSTR 2A and 2B of those respective registered persons. Now, in addition to the taxable supplies, if I have made some exempted supplies, I would be reporting it in table 8. Now, this is the simplest of the form. That is a B2B supply, a B2C supply, or an exempted supply. So supposedly, take an example that I have made a supply of say 50,000 rupees and a tax of 9,000 rupees I have collected. I would report in my table 4B of say month of July. I report it in my 50,000 rupees and 9,000 rupees in the GSTR1 for the month of July and file my GSTR1. In the month of August, I come to know either that I should not have raised an invoice of 50,000 rupees. I should have raised an invoice of say 60,000 rupees. Or I have incorrectly prepared an invoice of 50,000 rupees. I should have made an invoice of say 40,000 rupees. So what I would do in the month of August, I would issue a credit note or a debit note. So if I want to increase my invoice value from 50,000 to 60,000 rupees, I would not be cancelling my earlier invoice. I would be issuing a debit note that this was the invoice which I had issued and I had incorrectly issued 50,000 rupees. Now issuing a debit note for 10,000 rupees, and that I would be reporting in table 9B. That is credit note / debit note to registered person. Taking a reverse case scenario, that I have issued an invoice of say 50,000 rupees, but I subsequently in the month of August I come to know that I should have issued an invoice of say 40,000 only. So in that case, I would be issuing a credit note in the next month and I would be reporting it in table 9B. Now this is the example wherein I had issued a credit note or a debit note in case of supplies made to a registered person. If I have to issue a credit note or a debit note in case of supplies made to unregistered person, then that would be also be reported in table 9B, but there is a separate tab provided on the GSTN portal for the ease of reporting the details of credit note, debit note, and people are not confused that what is the tab for the registered person or what is the tab for the unregistered person to whom they have issued a credit note or a debit note. After that, in case of services, some advances are received. So there is a tax liability in case advance is received by a service provider. There is no tax liability in case advance is received by a supplier of goods, but in case of supplier of service, if they receive an advance, they have to pay tax also. And that tax is adjusted whenever the final invoice is issued. So in case of service provider, if they have received an advance, that would be reported in this tab 11A1 and 11A2. So supposedly, if a person had received an advance who is a service provider in the month of July, he would report the advance received in 11A1 or 11A2. And in the next month, say in the month of August, he issues an invoice for that advance. In that case, he would be reporting the adjustment in 11B1 and 11B2. So with this, the entire liability would be calculated. The supply is made to registered person, the supply is made to unregistered person. The exempted supply is made by the person. Then the credit note or debit note issued in respect of those supplies and the advances received or adjustment and advances in respect of those supplies. Once the entire detail is compiled, then in table 12, HSN wise details of the outward supplies is required. See, HSN is the harmonized system of nomenclature, wherein every product has been given a code number, so that the government is able to identify that what are the supplies being made by the registered person. So say for example, in case of construction services, the HSN is 9954. So if I am being a taxpayer, write 9954 as the HSN for outward supplies, the government would be getting to know that this is the statement of outward supplies for construction services. If I report a HSN of 9985, they would come to know that this is a outward supply for business support service. If I report a HSN of say chapter 8403, they would come to know that this is a HSN for machineries and equipments. So government says that whatever is your outward liability, report it in different tabs, total them, and then tell us what are the various categories under which you have made the supplies. And that is to be reported in table 12 of this GSTR1. Once the statement of outward supplies is, once the HSN-wise summary of outward supplies is given, then the government asks that what is the details of the invoices which you have issued. Supposedly you have made a supply of say 1 lakh rupees and for which you have issued 5 invoices. Give us the details of those 5 invoices, that what was the serial number from which it started and what was the serial number to which it ended. Like in this case, the supplies have been made from 502 to 523. So total 22 numbers of 22 invoices have been issued. And say this is a GSTR1 for the month of July. And if I would be filing my GSTR1 for the month of August, then I would be reporting serial number 524 to the serial number to which I have issued my invoice. So this is the details of all the outward liabilities, the possible outward liabilities. I have not covered the cases of exports and the supplies to SEZ or deemed export, but giving an overview that how the government comes to know about the total outward supply and the various categories in which it has been made and the details of the documents which have been issued for making those outward supplies or the taxable supplies. Now there is one another tab, that is amendment to the previous details which were filed by some person. So supposedly one person has an invoice which is of 50,000 and 9,000 rupees. 50,000 is the amount and 9,000 is the tax amount. He incorrectly uploads that invoice of to say 1 lakh rupees and 18,000 rupees. And in the next month, he comes to know that this is the incorrect uploading which I have made and I need to make the correction. So what he would do, he would amend that invoice through the amended B2B invoice. He would select the financial year, he would enter the invoice number, and the details of those invoice number would be auto-populated and he can make the required change. So this amend record table, that whatever we are seeing, this is only for the purpose of amending the records of earlier period which have been uploaded, and subsequently I come to know. So what I can say that this is a sort of rectification or correction if someone wants to make in the earlier GSTR1 file. Once all these details are furnished, then a person can view the summary of the GSTR1 which he has filed. So in this case, there are total 12 invoices which are having a value of 4,83,000, and the total tax which has been collected is 43,496 in CGST and equivalent amount of tax in SGST. So table 4A, 4B, now supposedly this person has not made any exempted supplies and there are no other advances or credit notes which have been issued. So the total HSN summary would be reflecting in this manner. There might be some. So the total HSN wise summary would be reflected in this return. Now the question arises that what is the reason for this difference? That the outward supplies are only of say 4,83,000, but the HSN wise details have been furnished for 8,39,000. See, this is a person who is in the quarterly filing mechanism. And in case of a quarterly filer, he files his GSTR1 on a quarterly basis, say for the quarter of April to June. And for the month of April and May, they can file a statement of IFF. That whatever B2B sales which they have made in the month of April, they can be filed through IFF. Whatever B2B sales they have made in the month of May, they can file through IFF. And for the month of June, they would be filing GSTR1, but excluding the details of the supplies made in April and May. But the details of HSN-wise summary would be covering both covering April, May, and June on the 3 months. So this detail can also be downloaded and can be saved for future reference. So this is the details which are viewed, which can be viewed once the statement is generated by the taxable person. So this is about GSTR1, which is to be filed by the taxable person. Now, if I go to GSTR3B, see the entire liability which I had declared in my GSTR1 has been auto-populated in table 3.1a. If I read through the details which have been provided on the portal, it says table 3.1a, which is this table, 3.1b, 3.1c, and 3.1e are auto-drafted based on values provided in GSTR1/IFF. So whatever the statement of output supplies I have filed, those details along with its tax liability would be auto-populated in my GSTR3B. If I want to, since this return has already been filed, so I cannot edit these figures, but there is an option that even if these details have been auto-populated and I want to make certain changes, I can make changes to these figures. And if one can see that when I am putting my cursor to say IGST, it is showing your amount 3132 and system computed 3132. That means whatever I have shown in my 3B, it is matching with the system computed liability. In case of CGST, SGST, it again shows that your amount is 73997.19 and system computed is also 73997.19. In case of turnover also, I can see your amount is 839591 and system computed is also 839591. So this is about the outward liability and auto population of the outward liability in my GSTR1. Now coming to the ITC part. Now we have already discussed that how a GSTR2B is generated. Now this GSTR2B, since this is a quarterly filer, it is generated on 14th of July. And this GSTR2B reflects the total credit available for the month, for the quarter of April to July is 31,810 and 31,810 under CGST and SGST. The government is auto-populating this detail on the basis of GSTR1 filed by the suppliers to this particular person. And if a person wants to see that what are the details of the supplier who have filed their GSTR1, they can see this detail. That following are the suppliers who have filed their GSTR1, and since this particular GSTR1, see this is the filing date of GSTR1. If one can see, these are the filing dates of GSTR1. These are 7th of July, 11th of July, and 10th of July. Since this statement has been generated on 14th of July, so the GSTR1 which have been filed prior to that date are the details of the GSTR1 and the credit reflecting in those GSTR1 for this particular person are being reflected in GSTR2B. And this person can see that these persons have filed their GSTR1 before 14th of July, and this is the amount of tax which they have shown, and this is the details of the invoice number and the date for which the credit is being passed on to him. So this is one facility which has been given by the government to all the registered persons to identify their credit basis upon the liability declared by the outward supplier. Now there are two tabs in this GSTR2B. One is ITC available and second is ITC not available. Now ITC, the system itself bifurcates the ITC into two parts. One, the ITC available, and second, ITC not available. Now the question comes that how come the system identifies that what is the ITC available and what is the ITC not available? See, if you might have gone through section 16 subsection 4 of CGST Act, which says that if a person wants to claim ITC say for the month of 21-22, he has to file his return, all his returns for 21-22, or he has to claim all his credit till 30th of November 2022. Now the question comes that why a person would claim his credit for 21-22 up to 30th November 2022. If the date of filing of my GSTR 3B for a particular month is 20th of next month, why would I wait to claim the credit for November month of next financial year for the year of 21-22? See, there is a circular number 26/2017 dated 29th December 2017. What it says is that supposedly I have a credit of say 1 lakh rupees for the month of July 2017. Out of that 1 lakh rupees, while filing my 3B, I am only say credit of 80,000 rupees. There might be n number of reasons for short claim of credit. I might not be having the invoice. I might not have received the goods. There might be a clerical entry while entering in the books of account. The accountant might have forgot to enter the bill. The accountant might have entered it incorrectly. There are n number of reasons for short claim of credit. So when I had filed my return for say month of July 2017, I only claimed 80,000 rupees out of 1 lakh rupees. And I have taken specifically example for July 2017 because at that time the facility of this auto population was not there. So now what happens to that 20,000 rupees which I have short claimed? Can I claim it in the subsequent months while filing my GSTR 3B? That supposedly if I am filing my GSTR 3B for August 2017, so I can add that leftover 20,000 in my 3B of the August 2017. This circular says, circular number 26/2017 dated 29 December, that yes, you can do it. You can claim that leftover 20,000 in the next one. And take another example that 20,000 is identified at the time of conduct of audit while filing income tax return. So during the entire year, July 2017 to March 2018, the accountant was unaware that 20,000 has left to be claimed in the month of July. So while the income tax return was being prepared and the entire accounts were being audited, it came to the knowledge that that 20,000 has not been claimed. And supposedly it is the month of say September 2018 because due date of filing of ITR is 30th of September. So that month is September 2018. Now what would happen? Can the registered person claim that credit of July 2017 in September 2018? Section 16 subsection 4, as was present at that time, said that yes, you can claim that leftover 20,000 rupees up till the returns for any period which you have filed by the due date of filing of return for the month of September of next financial year. So that 20,000 which was left to be claimed in July 2017, that could have been claimed till the due date of return for September 2018, that is 20th of October 2018. So that 20,000 can be added into 3B. So that 20,000 can be added to any of the 3Bs, GSTR 3B, which have been filed up to 20th of October 2018. So this is how a person can claim the credit even for the month of July 2017 till 20th of October 2018 and for 2021-22. This time limit for claim of leftover credit of the previous financial year has been extended from 20th of October 2022 to 30th of November 2022. And going forward, any of the leftover credit of the previous year can be claimed up to 30th November of the next financial year. So this GSTR 2B says that if your supplier has filed his GSTR 1, that amount would be reflected in your GSTR 2B. Now, once the supplier has filed his GSTR 1, then only you are able to claim the credit. And we would be distinguishing that credit between ITC available and ITC not available. So, what the government says through GSTN portal, that if your supplier for the year 2021-22 has filed his GSTR 1 reflecting your invoice at any point of time up to 30th of November 2022, you can claim that credit in your 3B by virtue of section 16 subsection 4. And we would be reflecting it in the tab of ITC available. But if your supplier files his GSTR1 for say the month for the year 2021-22 reflecting your invoice after 30th of November 2022, we would be reflecting that invoice in ITC not available. So take an example that I have purchased something from a supplier, Messrs. ABC, in the month of say April 2021. I would only be able to claim the credit when they file their GSTR1. So taking an idealistic example, they filed their GSTR1 on say 11th of May 2021. This 2B would be generated on 14th of May 2021 and would be reflecting the amount in ITC available. And I would be able to claim that credit. Now, supposedly this supplier, Messrs. ABC, files their GSTR1 on say 10th of December 2022. That is after the cutoff date of 30th November 2022. That amount would again be reflected in 2B, but which 2B? The 2B of November 2022. Because my GSTR1 has been filed between 14th of November to 13th of December. And that invoice, although would be reflected in 2B, but would be reflected in ITC not available. Because the particular GSTR1 has been filed after the cutoff date of 30th of November. So whenever you are going through a GSTR 2B, there would be two tabs, ITC available and ITC not available. The ITC available column will show all the GSTR1 for a particular year which have been filed up to a particular cutoff date. So for 21-22, if anyone files their GSTR1 up to 30th of November, for whatever month 2 you are generating, it would be reflected in ITC available. But if for 21-22 GSTR1 is filed after 30th of November 2022, ITC would be reflected in ITC not available. So this is the first criteria of ITC not available. The second criteria for ITC not available in GSTR 2B. Supposedly, I am a person who is registered in the state of Rajasthan. So all my invoices would be having the place of supply details, having the details of state of Rajasthan. Now, supposedly I go to the state of Maharashtra and I stay in a hotel in Maharashtra. In that case, the person who is registered in Maharashtra would be issuing an invoice with a place of supply of Maharashtra. That would be different from my state. And if I give him my GST number, he would be reflecting that detail in his GSTR1 which has been filed by him. That would be auto-populated in my GSTR 2A. And on the basis of that 2A, my 2B would be generated. But because the place of supply is different from the state of Rajasthan, that ITC, although being reflected in 2B, would be reflected in ITC not available. So there are two criteria to identify for the system that what is the ITC which is available and what is the ITC which is not available. One is if the GSTR1 for a particular year having that particular invoice is filed after the particular cutoff date, that is 30th November for 21-22. Or if the place of supply is different from the place or in the state where I am registered. And if I want to download this GSTR 2B in Excel, This is the Excel which is prepared, which has been downloaded from the portal. Now you can see there are various tabs: ITC available, ITC not available, then the B2B invoice, the B2B amendment. This is the entire view of the GSTR 2B which is available. And a registered person can download this GSTR 2B, can verify it with his books of accounts, and then identify that whether all these entries which are being reflected in 2B are his own entries, and then claim the credit. Now you might ask that how is the possibility that someone else's details will be reflected in my GSTR 2B? See, this GSTR 2B is prepared on the basis of GSTR 1 filed by the supplier. And as we have seen in GSTR 1, the supplier has to provide the GST number of the recipient. And while providing the GST number of the recipient, if the supplier commits an error and he provides GST number of some other supplier, some other recipient, that credit would be reflecting in the GSTR 2B of that recipient. But merely reflection of credit in 2B is not sufficient. A person needs to have the person needs to fulfill other conditions as well, like possession of invoice, receipt of goods. So merely because it has been reflected in some other person's 2B, he is not entitled to claim. He would have to reverse that credit because he does not have an invoice. He does not have he has not received the goods. It is only account of an inadvertent error committed by the supplier while filing GSTR 1 that the credit is being reflected in GSTR 2B of some other person. So this is about GSTR 2B. Now, how GSTR 3B is auto-populated on the basis of this 2B. See, as we have discussed, the output part is auto-populated on the basis of GSTR 1 filed by this particular dealer. So in this case, as we have seen that whatever GSTR 1 they have filed, the details of the liability have been auto-populated in table 3. Now comes the ITC part. Now this ITC part would be auto-populated on the basis of GSTR 2B. And if you are able to see the declaration made right at the top, this says that table 4A1, which pertains to import of goods, table 4A3, which pertains to inward supplies liable to RCM, table 4A5, which pertains to all other ITC, and table 4B2, which pertains to reversals. They would be auto drafted on the basis of values in GSTR 2B. So once GSTR 2B is generated on 14th of a particular month, those details of ITC in 2B would be auto populated in my 3B. And once the ITC is auto populated in my 3B, this is the ITC which has been auto populated in my 3B on the basis of 2B. Now this again shows that what is the system computed value and what is my amount. So in case of IGST, my amount is 68441.76 and the system computed is 68442. The difference is only of rounding off. The CGST amount as per my calculation is 46868 and the system computed is 46875. So this is the details which are being auto populated from the 2B which is being filed by my suppliers. Now once these details are auto populated, now it is upon me to identify that what is the eligible ITC out of the amount which has been auto populated in my 3B. See, system is only distinguishing between the eligible ITC and non-eligible ITC on the basis of GSTR 1 date of my supplier or the place of supply being reflected by my supplier. Other than that, the system is not identifying what is the correct credit for me. You all would know that out of the total credit available as per section 16 of CGST Act, I cannot claim the credit which is blocked on account of section 17 subsection 5. So once this details have auto-populated in my 2B in table 4A5 or whatever applicable table, I have to identify the credit which is blocked on account of restriction placed in the Act. So there are two types of reversals. One is the permanent reversal and second is the temporary reversal. Now, since this is a template for the month of June, let's go to a template for the quarter of September. This return has not been filed till now. Now, this is the eligible ITC which is being auto-populated on the basis of 2B. That is 2,02,225, 68,209, 68,209. Mind you, I have not filled anything. This is auto-populated on the basis of 2B which has been generated by the system on 14th of October 2022. Now, out of this ITC of 2,02,225 and 68,209 in CGST and SGST, I have to make two findings. That whatever ITC which has been reflected in 2B and auto-populated in 3B, whether any of such details contains ITC which are blocked under section 17 subsection 5. Supposedly, I have purchased a car in this month, in this quarter, and the details of, and I have given my registration number while purchasing the car, and the car dealer has filed his GSTR1 with my registration number. So that detail would be auto-populated in my GSTR2B, and I have to identify that since this is a case of purchase of car, and I am not able to claim this credit by virtue of section 17(5)(a), therefore I have to mention it in table 4B1. So the government has said that there are two types of reversals which you have to make for the credit which you are not entitled. One is the permanent reversal which you cannot claim at any point of time by virtue of section 17 subsection 5. That would be reflected in table 4B1. But not every reversal is permanent reversal. Supposedly, I have purchased goods and the invoice date is say of 30th of July. So I received the invoice of 30th of July, but I received those goods on 2nd of August. Now, since the goods have been received on 2nd of August, I would only be eligible to claim this credit in the month of August. I cannot claim it in month of July because I have not received the goods, and by virtue of section 16(2)(b), the condition is not fulfilled. But the point is that since the invoice is of July month, my supplier would be filing details in the GSTR1 of July only. And these details would be reflected in my table 4A5. So if I am filing my return for the month of July, the details would be auto-populated in 2B and details would be reflected in 3B. But I am not eligible to claim in that month because I have received the goods in subsequent months. So this is not a permanent reversal. This is a temporary reversal. So what I would be required to do, I would be required to report it in table 4B2. So all the permanent reversals which I cannot claim at any point of time, they have to be reported in table 4B1, and all the temporary reversal which I can claim subsequently when I satisfy the conditions subsequently, that I have to report in table 4B2. So once I put these details in 4B1 and 4B2, the system would show the net ITC available to me. And this net ITC available would be transferred to my electronic credit ledger. Now you would say, sir, yes, you have reversed the credit for the goods which were received in the month of August. You have reversed that credit in the return for the month of July. But what would happen in the case of what would happen in the month of August when the person had to reclaim that credit? Because now in the month of August, the condition has been satisfied. So what would happen in that case? So for that matter, the government has said that any previous credit which you want to reclaim, which you have temporarily reversed under table 4B2. So say for the month of August, that 40,000 credit is now eligible to be claimed, because even though the invoice for the month of July, but since the goods were received in the month of August, the registered person was entitled to claim that credit in the month of August. So what would he do while filing the return for the month of August? He would reflect that 40,000 in table 4D1, that this is the credit which I have reversed earlier in the table 4B2, and that 40,000 would be additionally added to table 4A5. So what I would do, I would show that this 40,000 here. Supposedly I am filing the return for the month of August. I would show this 40,000 here, and I would increase this 2,02,225 to 2,42,225. Now I am eligible to claim this extra 40,000. But you would see that once I have changed this figure, now this box is highlighted in red. This red highlighted box is the reflection that the auto-computed figure has been edited by the recipient. It is not as if you cannot edit it, just you can edit it. But system would show a red color box that if you have just to highlight you the fact that this has been edited, if you have done intentionally, you can go ahead and file the return. If it has been done unintentionally, then the correct figure can be entered. So whatever ITC of the previous months which I have to claim, I have to report it in table 4D1, and then I can add it to table 4A5. This table of 4D1 is only for reporting purpose. It does not affect the credit ledger. It does not affect the ITC which has been claimed in the return. It only reflects the government that this is the ITC which was reversed earlier, but now has been reclaimed in this month. And in table 4D2, table 4D2 reflects the ineligible ITC under section 16 subsection 4 or ITC restricted due to place of supply rules. This is something which we have discussed earlier while we were discussing the ineligible credit which is shown by the system in GSTR 2B. As we have discussed earlier, the 2B bifurcates the credit into two parts, eligible and ineligible. The ineligible part, which is being reflected in table GSTR 2B, is also required to be reflected in table 4D2. So this is something which has been brought in place by the government from the month of August. So all returns which are being filed for the month of August after 1st of September, they have to be filed in this manner. The ITC has to be reported in this manner. So summarizing the entire ITC concept, my 2A would be auto-populated on the basis of GSTR1 filed by my supplier. My 2B would be generated on a particular cutoff date. Once my 2B is generated on a particular cutoff date, it would be reflecting two entries, eligible ITC and ineligible ITC. But that ineligible ITC is only on account of two factors, that is date of filing of GSTR1 beyond the cutoff date, or secondly, the PO, the place of supply being different from the state in which I am registered. The ITC which is being reflected in the available ITC in 2B would be auto-populated in table 4 of my GSTR 3B. But mere auto-population in table 4 of my GSTR 3B does not mean that I can claim the entire ITC. Out of that ITC, I have to identify the reversals which are required to be made. Those reversals would be divided into two parts, the permanent reversal and the temporary reversal. The permanent reversal, if I say, is an example of section 17 subsection 5, and it has to be reported in table 4B1. The temporary reversal, which I can reclaim subsequently, are to be reported in table 4B2. And the left ITC, after deducting the reversal under table 4B1 and table 4B2, would be transferred to my electronic credit ledger. Now, if I want to claim certain previous ITC over and above what is being reflected in my 2B, I have to report that ITC in table 4D1, and then I have to add it to any of the applicable rows in table 4A. So there are two requirements: reflection in table 4D1 and addition in table 4A. Then only the ITC can be reclaimed for the past periods. Table 4D2 contains the ITC details which are reflected in not eligible tab in GSTR 2B. So by this, my liability would be auto-populated on the GSTR1 filed by me. My ITC would be auto-populated on the basis of GSTR1 filed by my suppliers. Once this is done, I can proceed to make the payment. Whatever payment I want to make before filing of GSTR 3B, I can proceed to make the payment. I can preview the GSTR 3B. When I am previewing the GSTR 3B, it would reflect that this is the draft GSTR 3B which has been generated on the basis of system. So this is about the GSTR 3B which has been auto-populated on the basis of GSTR filed by me and GSTR filed by my suppliers. In addition to this, there are few other tabs in GSTR 3B also. If you can see table 3.1.1, that these are the supplies notified under section 9 subsection 5. Now the question comes, what are the supplies which are being notified under section 9 subsection 5? See, section 9 subsection 5 is for e-commerce operators. That is the Swiggy, Zomato or the Redbus, wherein the suppliers get themselves registered, or in case Ola, Uber, all these are market platforms wherein suppliers registered themselves on their platform and provide service to their recipients. What the government has said, that supposedly I have got myself registered on, say, Swiggy. A person comes and books an order for supply of food and I supply it through Swiggy. What the government has said, that for such supply, the tax would not be paid by me. It would be collected and paid by Swiggy. Now in this case, I am not liable to pay the tax. Who is liable to pay the tax? Swiggy is liable to pay the tax. So in all these examples, whether it's Swiggy, Zomato, Ola, Uber, or Redbus, all these persons are liable to pay the tax on the basis on behalf of suppliers who are registered on their portals. So in such cases, there are two tabs given in table 3.1.1. 3.1.1, the first tab shows the tax liability which has to be paid by the e-commerce operator, that is Swiggy, Zomato, or Ola, Uber, or Redbus. And in clause 2, the details are to be reflected by the persons who are making outward supplies through these portals. So 3.1.1 clause 1 is for the e-commerce operators, and 3.1.1 clause 2 is for the persons who are making supplies through these e-commerce operators. Now coming to table 3.2. Table 3.2 requires to report those supplies which are made in the course of interstate trade or commerce to unregistered persons. See, as we have discussed, there are two types of supplies. One is B2B supply and second is B2C supply. The details of B2B supplies are given with the registration number in my GSTR1. But in case of B2C supplies, which are made to unregistered persons in the course of interstate trade or commerce. So if I am a person registered in Rajasthan, if I made a B2C supply, say in the state of Delhi, I would be required to report additionally these details in 3.2. Again, 3.2 is not impacting my liability register. It is only a reporting platform. All my outward liabilities which are impacting my liability register are reported in table 3.1. This 3.2 is only for the purpose of information to the government that these are the unregistered persons to whom I made a supply in the course of interstate trade or commerce. Table 4 is related to eligible ITC, which we have already discussed. Table 5 is relating to inward supplies which are non-GST supply or exempt supply. See, we have already discussed that all the inward supplies on which I am eligible to claim ITC or on which my supplier has reflected my GST number are auto-populated on in table 4 on the basis of GSTR 2B. In this table 5, I have to write down the supplies, the figure of the supplies on which no taxes have been charged. Say purchases from an unregistered person, inward supplies relating to salary, because salary is outside the purview of GST. All these supplies, inward supplies relating to alcohol, because again alcohol is a non-GST supply. All these have to be reported in table 5. And table 5.1 is relating to interest and late fees. So by these filing of different tabs, wherein the outward liability is auto-populated GSTR1 of mine and ITC is auto-populated on the basis of GSTR1 of my suppliers, I have to file my GSTR3. And the amendments which have been made, that how the ITC which is reflected in 2B has to be distinguished between a temporary reversal, a permanent reversal, or ITC reclaimed for earlier period. That is something which we have to keep in mind while we are preparing our GSTR3. And if the accounting records have been prepared in the correct manner, if the entries have been made correctly in the books of accounts, preparation of GSTR1 and GSTR3B is not a challenge. But if the books of accounts have not been prepared properly, if the entries have not been made properly, then correct filing of GSTR1 and correct filing of 3B is a challenge. And always try to link these aspects with the accounting treatment. Once you are able to link the treatment of various figures in 3B with the accounting treatment and the legal aspect behind it, understanding the entire concept would be that much more easy. But if we are only mugging it up, that I have to just learn that 4B1 is 4B2 is for this, without understanding, I would not say that you have to remember the table. I would always say don't remember the table, but remember the principle behind the table or the legal aspect behind the table. Today I have only discussed about the compliance part. I have not discussed the legal aspect part. That how can a genuine recipient be denied the credit if the supplier has not filed his return? That is something which is for some other day to be discussed. But since today my session was only on the intricacy while filing GST1 and 3B, I tried to cover the subject right from the scratch and up to a point which can be summarized in the given time frame. And I would not say that this is the end. This is only the beginning. Something which might instigate a zeal amongst you to go whenever you go to your office to learn more and more. See, this 4-day GST drill is not something which you can, in which you can learn or understand the entire GST. In my opinion, nobody at present, come who may be, can say that they are expert in GST. All are learners. So this GST drill, in my opinion, when I discuss this entire concept with Hemant, is something which instigates a zeal within you to learn more about GST, to go in depth into GST, to ask the questions of why, how, and increase your knowledge. So I would like to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity and the platform to discuss GST 1 and 3B with the student, the future of chartered accountancy profession. And if anyone has any queries relating to 1 and 3B, I would be more than happy to take those queries.
If any students have query, he may raise hand or may ask in chat box.
How many of you filed GST 1 or 3B? If the participants can reply in the chat box.
Nedit, you want to say something, na?
See, being a student, the best part is that you have got a license to commit errors. But being a professional, that license is taken away. So the articleship training period is the best part where you can learn and all the responsibilities on the principal to clear your mistakes. So I always say this to the student that go to your office, learn as much, commit as much mistakes. But if you are working and the principal sees that you are a serious student, he would not say that why you are committing mistakes. He would always sit with you and tell you the correct method to do. But once you are a chartered accountant and the client is sitting in front of you and you call Dhaval sir, इसका आंसर क्या होगा? तो क्लाइंट बोलेगा सर मैं काम करता हूँ आपके सामने से उठ के धवल सर के पास चल के जाके आ जाता हूँ. He would tell me the better advice. So enjoy your articleship. Do the best you can do in your articleship. It is a license to commit mistake. Not that you can commit a entirely grossly negligent mistake, but a mistake which is expected that while you are doing something new, there would be errors, but you would be learning at the same time. So how to upload HSN file steps, I want to know, sir. Yeah, go to your office and whenever you would, the file is complete, you can straight away upload the HSN file. It is not something which is technical in nature. In my opinion, the part of the preparation and the information which has to be filed is something much more important. And being the restriction of a session, and I am not having a prepared written along with me, so I would not be able to show the various steps involved in uploading the HSN file.
आई थिंक अर्पित जी आपने इतने अच्छे से समझाया है, तो किसी भी स्टूडेंट्स को स्पेसिफिक क्वेरी नहीं है, तो वी कैन सम अप द प्रोग्राम इफ यू परमिट.
Yes, we can sum up the issue.
Aman.
Yes, sir. Saika sir, aapne sir has explained so well each and every detail about GSTR1, GSTR2A, 2B, how it, the things get auto-populated. That itne अच्छे से समझ में आया that students now understand each and everything in detail. So thank you so much, sir, for raising the audience. And you actually said that practical aspects is most important than mugging up. So I hope all the students have definitely learned a lot from your session today. Now I would like to hand over the dais to Dhairya Tatiya for vote of thanks. Dhairya, over to you.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to thank CA Arpit Haldia sir on behalf of the entire CICASA Jodhpur team and everyone present here for sharing your valuable insights on GST. I'm sure everyone here has benefited in some way or the other. I would also like to thank CA Manisha ma'am, our guest of honor, for giving her valuable time for attending the session and honoring us with her presence. We hope we get to learn more from you in the coming future. Lastly, I would like to thank everyone for joining this session and making it a successful one. We hope you all continue to support us in the upcoming sessions as well. Our topic for the session tomorrow is presenting burning issues in GST. Please join in maximum numbers to enhance. Thank you.
Thank you, Arpit sir.
Thank you. Thank you
for your valuable times.
Always there for Jodhpur branch.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall we end the meeting?
Yes, we can end the meeting.